alternate counts of knowing and reckless second-degree murder. When neighbor Mike Maloney heard who had been arrested, he says he was stunned. He had been friendly with Jetty, who he says lived with a woman and a child in Building 36.
You would never guess. We were wondering where it happened because it never dawned on us that they would be involved.
The Attorney General's office has ruled Galusha's death a homicide. Heartbreak for her family tonight.
She didn't deserve this. Not at all. She was a good kid. And she's going to be missed by a lot of people.
And Jetty is expected to be arraigned tomorrow afternoon in Merrimack County Superior Court. Live in Concord tonight, I'm Charisse LeClaire, WMUR News 9.
A serious crash shut down part of Route 28 in Chichester tonight. Multiple vehicles were involved. Police say a car crossed into the wrong lane and hit a pickup truck that was pulling a trailer with an excavator on it. A van also swerved off the road. One man had to be airlifted to a Boston hospital.
Right now, the only injury is the driver and passenger of the Audi. The driver was flown to Boston with serious injuries, and the passenger was transported to Concord Hospital.
And police are investigating why the car crossed into the wrong lane.
Tonight, we are learning that former FBI Director James Comey could testify on Capitol Hill as early as next week. Sources tell ABC News that the special counsel leading the Russian investigation is clearing Comey to talk about the time he spent one-on-one with the president. When Congress returns to work next week, it appears the wait will be almost over for members of the Senate Intelligence Subcommittee. ABC News has learned former FBI Director James Comey will testify in open session about his interactions with President Trump. Sources say special counsel Robert Mueller is not objecting to Comey testifying, provided that he does not discuss evidence in the investigation into Russian meddling. According to sources familiar with Comey's thinking, he will respond to questions about his relationship with the president and the memos associates say Comey wrote after their meetings. Senators specifically want to know if the president sought a pledge of loyalty from Comey early on, and if the fired FBI director was pressured to go easy on former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. Comey's supporters have been angry at the president after he called Comey a nut job to Russian officials visiting the Oval Office. No date for Comey's testimony has been set. Also today, the House Intelligence Committee issued 7 subpoenas in its Russian investigation. Those include 2 men with close ties to the president, former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn and Donald Trump's personal lawyer, Michael Cohen. And President Trump will announce tomorrow afternoon if he's pulling the U.S. out of the Paris Climate Accord. He says he was still listening to a lot of people both ways, but promises a decision very soon. The president would be fulfilling the campaign promise by withdrawing from the agreement. 197 countries joined the climate deal, but there are concerns that if the U.S. drops out, other countries may follow.
Well, right now, state senators are still debating the state budget in Concord. The Senate has approved it, but lawmakers continue to vote on policy changes through the night. WMUR's Mike Cronin is live in Concord with an update. Mike.
Well, Shelley, it has been a marathon here tonight at the State House, and they could go on for another hour or so. Republicans do have the majority, and for the most part, lawmakers have been voting along party lines. The Senate has approved a 2-year, $11.8 billion budget. Right now, state senators are voting on amendments introduced by Democrats that would allow for increased funding. Those amendments include items like services for the disabled, fully funding all-day kindergarten, and allowing public money for abortions. But Republicans have been voting them down, saying they don't want to increase spending. The budget does include more than $36 million towards infrastructure, 10 new state trooper positions, and 20 more child protective service workers for DCYF.
We left $20 million on the table. $20 million that could be used to fund very, very vital services.
The economy in New Hampshire is currently one of the best in the nation, and when times are good, we should put money away so we are prepared when the economy takes that inevitable next downturn.
Well, still several more amendments to go through tonight. We'll have an update for you at 11 on WMUR. For now, we're live in Concord. Mike Cronin, WMUR News 9.
Well, New Hampshire ranks first in the nation when it comes to protecting children. That's according to a new report by Save the Children. The study looks at infant mortality rates, high school dropout rates, malnutrition, and violence affecting children and teens. Massachusetts came in right behind New Hampshire at number 2. The worst state was Louisiana. State Public Utilities Commission expected to vote on the sale of Fairpoint Communications to Consolidated Communications soon. Maine already signed off on a $1.5 billion sale, and a settlement has been reached between Fairpoint and Public Utilities Commission staff. Now, regulators in Vermont and New Hampshire need to vote. The sale is expected to be finalized this summer.
Well, some police officers and firefighters will be playing ball for Chad in the next couple of months, one of the hospital's biggest fundraisers of the year. And tonight they met the kids that they'll be playing for.
There was food, games, and goodwill all around as firefighters and police officers met their Chad buddies for the 2017 Battle of the Badges Baseball Classic.
It's to raise as much money as possible for the kids in the programs at Chad.
Tonight, players were inspired by the young patients who will benefit from the money raised during this game. Kids like Eli Bunnell.
I have SVT. SVT is supraventricular tachycardia. I have a one-of-a-kind heart, and I have a irregular heart rhythm, and that's why I'm involved with Chad.
Eli's buddy is Sergeant Ed Shaughnessy with Bradford Police.
I'm in it for the fundraising for the kids. They're probably stronger than anything out here. I can't imagine what they're going through, and I've never been there, and anything we can do to help.
You know, I've played baseball all my life, and it's a great opportunity to be able to raise money for Chad.
Rich's buddy, 13-year-old Madison Berry, just wants to support the institution that saved her life.
I had open heart surgery in August.
Tonight it gives the players a really good example of what their fundraising really benefits the kids in the programs that really work to take care of these kids.
And the Chad Battle of the Badges Baseball Classic takes place August 11th at Northeast Delta Dental Stadium. The goal is to raise $100,000.